cats. Since a lot of people have been making videos about Rachael Farrokh, as well as Eugenia Cooney and Terry, who's another YouTuber who is detailing and chronicling her fight with severe anorexia nervosa, I thought I would just share a couple of thoughts about Rachael Farrokh and this is Selket. I don't know what kind of thoughts she wants to share except stop talking to that thing and pet me, but actually she likes to be filmed quite a bit, so who knows. Cats. I have never met Rachael. I do know people who have met her because I belong to a few of the advocacy groups, and those are mostly frequented by activists who are mothers or parents or family members or someone close to the sufferer rather than the sufferer. I mean, I belong to both, I guess. I belong to an in-person support group for sufferers as well, but the point is, I don't know Rachael personally, but I do know people who have seen her at events, but this was like a few years ago. I think it was very shortly after she was hospitalized and got out, and she went to, I think she went to a lobbying event in Washington with a group of the mothers, and she was in a wheelchair, and there were some early reports saying, oh, she's recovering, she's doing so well, but that's because they couldn't see her weight and her appearance, really. A lot of it was being disguised by a blanket. She was getting around in a wheelchair with blankets over her, which makes sense because you're always cold in that state. But anyway, there is a group on Facebook that pertains to the latest developments and announcements regarding Rachael Farrokh, and also some speculation. There, for the last few years, there's been some speculating about what role her trainer partner has, partner as in significant other, not exercise partner, but just exactly what role he might have. Is he a fetishist? Because, I mean, that's crossed some people's minds too. Like, why was he hesitating so much after the GoFundMe raised so much money for Rachael's treatment? Why was he constantly making excuses as to why it was taking so long and why they couldn't do it? And then the center was like, well, yes, we can do it. We do it all the time with other patients. We airlift them in helicopters. It's very safe. So there was a lot going on that was suspicious, and I think that's why this Facebook group came into being. But it's a closed group. You can request to join, and if you have any information or want to know something, just make a post, and chances are someone will have some degree of information, although I don't think anyone can attest to the veracity of that 100%. So yeah, it's always interesting because, and there is the expression, Ed runs the show, so wherever there is someone with an eating disorder who is in severe need of treatment like that, the term Ed runs the show means that any of the loved ones, the partners, the friends, family, whatever, very often they're being manipulated by the eating disorder that is working through the sufferer. So certain things that the sufferer might say or do could alter the course of treatment by getting the loved ones to make different decisions, or become persuaded that a particular thing is not going to work when in other circumstances it has worked. So there's that to look at also. But Rodney or whoever it happens to be, the significant other in the life of whatever sufferer is involved in whichever scenario, you have been looking at or perhaps involved with yourself. You're going to have to look at the codependency factors. Sometimes that person believes that if you get well, say you're the patient and you get well, and they're your, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, that they won't have a place in your life anymore because their whole self-concept at that point has unfortunately been built around them as your caregiver. So, and they might also think, well, we don't have any use for them anymore because we're recovering now. So if we don't need them anymore, then we don't even want to bother having them in our life, and that's usually not the case. So there's a lot of insecurity with that as well, and it's just a really complex disorder, combination of psychiatric, psychological, and physical manifestations. Also, end state. I mean, when you see really low weight anorexics like Rachael or Eugenia Cooney, you're talking about end stage, more or less, because up until that point, they've been very ill, up until the point of being underweight at all. That person most likely has been very ill. And by the time the symptom starts manifesting, as in the weight starts showing, that's late. So early intervention is really important, and it's good that the DSM is recognizing what they've been calling atypical anorexia, but even the word atypical implies that most people with the disorder are very low weight, and that's honestly not the case. So that needs to be looked at also, because like a lot of people have been saying, if you think that someone with a super low weight is the only person who needs or deserves treatment, and you happen to not be in that weight range, you're going to make an excuse. Your disorder will make an excuse as to why you don't need treatment, and it will keep your disorder happy, but keep you in your world of hell for that much longer. Okay? So, thanks for listening. Yeah.